I just now finished up my video complaining about this current Morrigan fusion and the amount of, I don't know, ridiculousness that Plarium expects us to go through to actually get the champion. Now, I'm going for the champion. I am going for the fusion. I think after this video, I may change my opinion. Now, this is on the test server, but my main thing with the Morrigan fusion is it's difficult, but not only is it difficult to actually go for it because you got to get everything, you also have to level the champions, rank the champions, ascend the champions. And I feel like the people that Morrigan will most be most beneficial to are not going to be able to get her very easily at all. I'm not necessarily saying that fusion should be easy, but I feel like it's a little bit out of reach. Now, with that said, the epic is going to be pretty easy to get. There is no extra copy of him though, so you have two choices. You can either open enough shards in hopes of getting enough copies of the rare to fuse an extra one of these champions, maybe get him from a sacred shard or whatever it may be. But this guy is actually incredible. Now, I know he did get a nerf, but to be honest, I didn't even playtest him before the nerf happened. And now that the nerf is in place, I think he's still pretty OP. So this guy's an epic champion, and he's doing Ice Golem stage 23, and we're doing Dragon stage 25. The gear he's wearing is honestly less than my Bad L, my Crypt King Grawl, my Urogrim, all the champions that I've made to do solo content videos. He's wearing a lower quality of gear. Now, I do want to say a big disclaimer. This is not going to be consistent. This run is not 100% consistent. This is a test server. It's very difficult for me to do 100 runs and test the consistency like I usually do. So I'm putting this video out there because if you guys are going for the fusion, I want to make sure you guys can decide as soon as possible. But as soon as I get this champion on my main account, on the main server, I will do my 100 runs in Ice Golem as well as Dragon, and I will give you guys a breakdown of the gear required to do it 100% consistent or as close as possible. A big thing that I've been a huge fan of recently is actually taking away a lot of those RNG masteries, things like I think Arcane Celerity, basically whenever debuffs fall off the enemies, boosting your turn meter. I basically eliminated all the RNG, Cycle of Magic, anything that can possibly proc. I've removed it from all my solo champions from here on out basically because I'm really liking the consistent runs and trying to get to 100% consistency. This right here, this champion, after we finish this run right here, honestly, I haven't seen anybody do Ice Golem stage 23 or Ice Golem at all solo. So I want to show you guys and explain to you why he works so well. But another thing I want to share, Ice Golem stage 23, Richoff can do Ice Golem stage 23 as well as Dragon stage 25. I used to think that the gear drops were pretty bad, but if you look right here, actually, I don't want to cover the actual match just yet. So let's watch him finish out this Ice Golem because it's pretty important, right? But once we finish that, I want to explain the gear drops, the percentages and everything. So then you guys can decide for yourself if it's worth it to farm 23 solo, get the experience for your champions as you're going through that, or if you'd rather build a champion for stage 24 or 25. Now, Ice Golem solo farming is probably the most difficult, maybe second to Spider, especially on stage 24 and 25. Because Ice Golem 24 and 25, the waves are very, very difficult. Both those stages, very, very tricky, requires very specific champions, but this guy's free. Like, that's actually amazing, okay? It's a free champion at the moment. He's pretty easy to get, okay? Morrigan, not so much. This guy, he's pretty daggone easy. I mean, you get four rare champions from any of the events, and you're good to go. This dude heals like a monster. You guys are going to be amazed when you see his gear. Now, at this point, most of you probably skipped around the video. You probably aren't even here no more. But if you are, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy these. When I show you this gear, don't take this and assume you can just copy it over because you could see on wave 2 is a little bit sketchy. I got to try it out on Dragon as well. But I think it's going to be relatively consistent. But when we get to the live servers, I'm going to test it out and make sure it's very, very consistent. This speed is terrible. 60 FPS. No War Master, don't want it on the actual Ice Golem. No crit rate, no crit damage. Don't really want a lot of damage outside the poisons for the Ice Golem. So if you're just optimized for Dragon, you can do those builds, but for Ice Golem, not a great idea. So as far as the gear drops, when it comes to Ice Golem stage 23, which these are all the artifact dungeons, you are getting slightly less legendary items, but to be honest, it's not terrible. Like I said, this is for you to decide on your own, but stage 23, you're getting the same amount of rares, which is great. You don't really want a ton of rares. You're getting the same amount as compared to stage 24. You're getting a slightly more epic pieces of gear, and you're getting 1% less legendary. So if it's worth it for you, it's up to you to decide, but it doesn't seem terrible. As far as the drop rates of 5-star and 6-star gear, it's basically the same as stage 24, 1% difference. So very, very minor difference in my opinion. But if you're somebody who's just looking for great gear, maybe it's not worth it. So before we get into the Dragon Run, which I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of, let me show you his gear. Okay, he's in regeneration gear and he's in perception. All right, the regeneration gear is pretty needed. You definitely want to have some big heals going off, but his actual stats are pretty good compared to my other solo champions that I've built. Remember, a lot of my solo champions, actually I'll show you my Crypt King Grawl in just a second, but this is what he's wearing. When you see the chest plate, I think you're really going to be amazed. First off, no glyphs and a resistance chest plate. We're missing, what, 60% HP or 60% defense? I mean, this chest plate can easily be replaced if you can get enough resistance somewhere else, which I got a feeling you could. I definitely have the gear that I could do that, but I wanted to scale it back. And we have speed of level of 40, so 5-star speed boots. 5-star regeneration speed boots. This dude is one of the easier champions. Non-glyphed ring. I haven't farmed that much spider for this stuff. We have HP necklace and a resistance banner. So compare that gear. Now granted, this Crypt King Grawl, well, let me show you the stats. Crypt King is for Ice Golem stage 24 and Spider stage 24/20. His gear is going to be quite a bit higher in general, but compare these stats: 54,000 HP, 2,500 defense, okay speed, 229, resistance and accuracy, compared to Crypt King, which is 69,000, 4,000 defense, very high speed comparatively, good resistance, good accuracy, and regeneration plus immortal. So with this guy, if you can go immortal plus regeneration, it's going to be better. You can probably even go bolster plus immortal. Just get the heals, okay? Go bolster, not a problem whatsoever. I know some of you guys have bought bolster. It's going to give you a 10% heal every turn. So obviously put that into the gearing differences. If you go for bolster versus regeneration, immortal, guardian's going to be a little bit tricky because at the beginning you will be taking damage that your allies will be taking instead, but it should be perfectly fine. Now the reason why this gear works so well in these, I guess at initial first glance, these stats look pretty low, is because of his passive ability. Whenever a poison debuff is activated on an enemy, increases this champion's HP and defense by 5%. So simple math is saying it takes 5 poisons activating to stack up to 25%. So after you activate 5 poisons, or once 5 poisons are activated, you're going to have a 25% boost to your HP and your defense. And when you're doing an AoE attack that has a 50% chance, booked up to 75%. If you have sniper, then it's 80%, right? 50, 60, 75, 80% with sniper. Placing 2 5% poison debuffs and a poison sensitivity, it's going to take you no time at all to get that 25% boost in HP and defense. That's what allows me to run that 55,000 HP, because after 5 poisons activate, which you're not going to get killed in the very beginning of the match, the risk of dying comes as the match goes further. And even at the start of wave 2, you're going to have a little bit of time to get those poisons up. But 56,000, we'll call it, times 0.25 means that he's getting 14,000 HP added onto that 56,000. So now his HP becomes 70,000 HP, which is really, really good. And then 2541 defense times 0.25 is going to be 635 defense added onto what he already has. Add that to the 2,541 number. And now he's looking at almost 3,200 defense, which is kind of the sweet spot to be in. Obviously, if you can go higher in stats, it's going to be great. But then moving on from that to the stats that you really need to make sure you're hitting, which is accuracy and resistance. Accuracy, you want about 225. Resistance, you want about 300, 315. I've noticed to work a little bit better, but they're going to be relatively easy to get. Because of the lower stat requirements up here, I think resistance and accuracy, it's going to be a little bit easier. I mean, I haven't even glyphed this stuff. Now, obviously, gearing your champions like this is not a early game free-to-play strategy, okay? I think we all know that. You can see my masteries here. I could have gotten more accuracy. I could have gotten more accuracy here. Maybe these aren't the most optimal. I'll definitely test that out on the live servers, but you can see what I'm talking about is I didn't pick up Cycle of Magic. I didn't pick up Arcane Celerity, no RNG related stuff. And there you go. He is fully booked, of course. Of course he's fully booked. If you're going to have a champion soloing, you're going to want him fully booked. You need that buff and debuff chance increased. You need those cooldowns reduced, everything like that. You need it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. I'm going to hide my webcam. We'll just let this play out, guys. I hope you see the use in this champion. Hopefully you see that. Honestly, if you're in the market for a solo champion, I'm going to do a video comparing this guy to some other really good solo champions and seeing who's best and who has the lowest gear requirement. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you all very much for watching. Enjoy this dragon run, and I will catch you all in the next video.